Now we're gonna discuss shim setup. All right. This is a interesting part of setting a clutch up. A lot of people don't understand shim setup. And I guess the light bulb has to go on for you when you look at a clutch and how they're set up. Let me see if I can show you. Okay. In this particular clutch, all right, this is a quick change. I lost my vision there. Okay. The small washers that you get in your kit are the same size as this. Actually, they're a little smaller than this post. Okay. Those are for belt shimming. Okay. The large washers that fit on top of this post that are approximately 2 inches in diameter, that's for spider shimming. What that does, those washers, they spread the difference between the roller and a cam arm at engagement. Okay. More spider shim is going to make that gap right there bigger. Okay. What that does, that untucks the cam arm. Okay. When you untuck the cam arm, your engagement is going to drop. Untucking a cam arm also makes the weight hit harder. Okay, you're getting a tip of the weight. You're getting a tip of the weight above the center line of the pivot pin. Okay, and I explain that in the video on the super tip cam arms. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about here, refer back to the super tip cam arm video. Okay, the setup video. But the large washers have to lay on top of the belt spacing washers. Okay, the small washers cannot lay on top of the big washer. Big washer goes on last every time. The big washer sits. Let's see if I can show you here. If you look at this spider I've got right here, see the washers in there, my fingers? That's where they go. They sit underneath the spider on top of the movable shiv. Okay? That does not do anything with your belt adjustment. That has nothing to do with it. All this does is separates the spider from the rollers. And when that spider goes down, it hits those washers and it pushes on the movable shiv. Okay? If you put more belt spacers on here, it is not going to change your spider shimming. It has nothing to do with it. Okay? So if you don't understand it, take your clutch apart and drop spacers like I talked about. Put your belt inside put your clutch together. Take your belt, open the clutch all the way up. Okay, so drop your belt inside of the clutch. Get a belt here. Put a belt in your clutch. That's the way I do it. Just pull it around there and look. Check your belt clearance, okay? Right here, the side-to-side clearance. I like 30 thousandths. 30 to 60 thousandths, no more in these clutches, okay? You can experiment with whatever you want, but that's my suggestion. No more than 30 to 60 thousandths. And that is done by the small washers that come with your kit, okay? The small washers, again, have to go under the large washers, all right? The large washers have to be put on after the movable shiv is slipped on the post, okay? That's probably a good way to figure it out and remember it. So that is, hopefully I explained that good enough for you. That's shimming your clutch 101. Now next we're going into the spring setup. Now with a dual stage clutch like this, having 8 arms all at one time hitting, your engagement is going to go down. See, down, okay? Because you've got a lot of mass hitting this thing at the very beginning. To get your engagement back up, we suggest, like we have here, notched cam arms. All right, that's almost if you have a high rever, you're going to bang this thing at 6 grand. It's going to be tough to do with this setup. I mean, it's possible, but you're going to have one heck of a truck spring underneath this cover, a TRA spring. You know, of course, that's what I mean by TRA, big, tall spring. That's what these covers are designed for. In the instructions, we give you a list of TRA springs, part numbers, spring rates, and color codes for all the TRA springs that are available through Bombardier. And there are a lot. You go from 7170 rate to a 310 510. Now, if you use the TRA spring supplied in your kit, you get these little white plastic thin cups, okay? Those go inside the TRA springs, both ends. And the reason we supply these is because the idea of the inside diameter of the TRA spring is bigger than the Polaris Arctic Cat springs, okay? So basically, one of them gigs, okay? That fits over the spider, and this fits over underneath your cover, okay? Now, these do wear, okay? We have replacements, and they're not much. So just keep in mind that these do wear out. You know, I pay more attention to the one under my cover than I would anything. The heavier the spring rate, the more these are going to wear, okay? It's the nature of the beast. Not much we can do about it. Now, if you want to run a Polaris or Cat spring, which they sure don't offer very many rates, but we have a spacer, a drop-in spacer, okay, that has to go on first. Your spring will fit right underneath the cover with no spacer, okay? See? Drop that on top there. Make sure there's a little step there, okay? See that? There's a cutout on the bottom. Cutout on the bottom goes over the spider nut, or it goes over the shoulder on a quick change. And there should be a little recess sticking up. That's for the inside of the spring, okay, so it doesn't hit the post. And it goes on like so, okay? Alright, now we've covered the springs. Where are we going next here? You know, you may want to take some notes during this video. I probably should have told you that when I started the thing. You may want to watch it over again. But what we're trying to do here is to give you as much information as possible, and to eliminate some phone calls, because it's, you know, when the season's rolling along pretty good, it's probably pretty hard to reach me. I'm in this office. I've got a phone glued to one ear, and I've got my cell phone going off in my pocket. It's pretty hectic. So I'll do the best I can to help you guys out if you got a question on the phone. But that's why I'm making these videos, to help you out, and that way we can both save some time on the phone. All right. I would suggest when you start with your Rage, spend some time in the ground. Don't throw everything in a trailer and go to the lake or go to the track or wherever you're going. You're going to spend a lot of time just setting the clutch up, trying to get the proper operating RPM and the spring rates and all that. I mean, you know, do yourself a favor. I mean, grab a beer or something and enjoy your garage or wherever you got your sled ATV or your little junior dragster, or whatever app the application is, and get your engagement set up. And you know, that's done by spring rate. That's done by how many of these first stage arms you have in there, how much weight you have on them. You know, more weight you add to these, it's going to lower your engagement. Then when you go out and run this thing the first time, if it's not on a track dyno and you're just the first virgin voyage, do roll-offs. Don't whack the throttle from a dead stop. You will drive yourself nuts, because this thing, if it bogs the motor, you're going to be throwing different helixes at it, not even knowing which way to go, not knowing what's not working right. The reason I want you to do roll-offs is so that we can determine you've got the proper weight in the second stage, okay? And what we're looking for in roll-offs is the operating RPM at maximum throttle. So if I got something that revs at 9,800, I want to get this thing set up to run at 9,800. Now that I have that established, now I can start doing I can start whacking her from a dead stop, and then I can start tuning these guys, okay? And then along with these guys, there's helix changes, driven spring changes, primary spring changes, a lot of stuff. So that is my recommendation when you first get going with one of these guys. I'm trying to save you some time. I've been down that road. I know what it's all about. Getting home early for the wife sometimes is a good thing. Keeps you married, that's for sure. All right, setting up the one thing I didn't cover. Let's go back. Setting these arms in the spider. Okay. Say if we want to take a set screw and we want to change where these are at, say we want to lessen the shift, okay? Of course, you got to have an Allen wrench, and you can adjust it from the back side. And these set screws already have a Loctite patch on them, so you don't need Loctite on those. Adjust your arm, set it, twist it to wherever you want it. And then what I want you to do is you can set two at one height, and then you can set the other two at another height if you want to do like a dual speed kind of. Actually, you could turn it to a 3-speed, But I want the opposing arms to be at the same height, okay? And there's a couple different methods of doing that. It doesn't have to be perfect. My suggestion would be, if you got a good eye and you got a flat surface, a little pocket scale's fine. Pick a spot at the end of the arm and measure it. Come over the other side and adjust the other one to the same. Get it within a 30-second or something, you'll be fine. If you want to get really technical, which is probably something that I would do, because I'm just wired that way, I'm a machinist, is I'd drop the back side of a vernier right on top of that little boss, okay, that the weight sits on, and I measure to the table, okay? Use the back side of the vernier, measure to the table, and you'll get your dimension. And then of course you want to make the other side the same. Come over here and check it as well. Of course I'm off, about 70 thousandths off. So then of course a couple times of twisting it back and forth, you'll get it right. But the verniers, most accurate way for sure, and you can buy these things pretty cheap at a hardware store. I've seen them at a hardware store for 20 bucks. Or you can use a scale. I mean, if I'm in the field and I don't have a scale, or I don't have a set of verniers, I don't feel bad one bit about using a scale. Just get them as close as you can. I don't like tape measures because they're not as fine calibration as a scale. I can read a scale down. I can read a scale within 10 thousandths. I mean, only because I'm wired that way and I'm a machinist and I've been doing this for a long time. And I know some of you guys are pretty sharp too, and you can do that as well. So that's how you set your spider up. Other than that, I think we covered everything. It's a hot afternoon out there, and the wife's waiting for me on the pontoon boat. I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I hope this helps you a lot. You guys have a great day. Thanks.